Tom, can she be made to stand down?
Well, one of the interesting things that the judge said today is that this could end up with a custodial sentence. The criticism is so high, and what Claudia Webbe has been accused of doing is so severe, that if this ends up in a custodial sentence, there are several grounds by which a recall petition amongst her constituents could be triggered. That bar is usually custodial, and if indeed Miss Webbe, who intends to appeal, if that appeal fails, then there could be grounds for her constituents to trigger a recall petition, and this would involve 10% of those constituents of Leicester East putting forward their voice to say that we want a by-election, and in that by-election, Miss Webbe could be removed.
She didn't have a whopping majority, did she?
It's a pretty safe seat, although 2019 was a pretty good election for the Conservative Party, but it's a hugely diverse seat. There's a large ethnic minority population there, and Labour has tended to do very well. In fact, her predecessor was Keith Vaz, who was, of course, the former chair of the Home Affairs Select Committee, and himself encountered a scandal or two in his time. So it may be an interesting by-election if it does take place, but this is a court case that will be appealed and was pretty significant.
She's no longer a Labour MP. You mentioned Keith Vaz. We get colourful characters coming into politics and parliamentary life, and sometimes we get to see their private lives exposed fully, and you could argue disgracefully as well. It doesn't mean there's any blowback necessarily for the party, does it? I mean, this is not necessarily embarrassing, or is it, for the Labour Party?
Well, the Labour Party was probably fortunate in deciding to suspend Miss Webbe when these allegations first came about. So Webbe, while she's been in this trial, has not been a Labour MP for the last several months. However, she was intimately involved with the Labour Party. She was a councillor in Islington for many years, very close confidant of Jeremy Corbyn, worked with Ken Livingstone on the London Assembly as well, was one of his czars in terms of dealing with crime in the city. So in terms of her connections to the Labour Party, they run deep. And of course, Jeremy Corbyn gave her a character statement during this trial as well. Although Jeremy Corbyn, it must be said, is not currently a Labour MP. He's sitting as an independent as well, his status in suspended animation. But those words that the judge used in his summing up, the vague, incoherent and at sometimes illogical sentiment of Claudia Webbe is going to hang heavy. It will be hard for her to appeal this.
Sentencing coming up next month, we believe. Tom, thanks very much indeed. Tom Harwood.